Hey everybody, this is Tim Whittemore with the Whittemore Group here at eXp Realty. I've been getting a lot of questions from agents and potential agents of, hey, what should I anticipate the first year going into real estate? Not only team members, but independent agents. There's a lot of answers to that question. However, today what I'm going to talk about is the top 7 books and things that you can do in order to get to the next level. Now, I wish I had these lists when I first started. However, I did read a lot my first year in real estate, mainly because when you're out there and you're first starting and you're getting going and you're looking in your brokerage and you see all these agents doing lots and lots of deals each year, and you're like, how am I going to compete with that? Well, those agents are super busy. And when you get rolling in your business, you're going to be super busy too. So the one thing that you have right now that those agents don't is time. Why don't we leverage that time to get you educated and make sure that you're practicing the contracts, the presentations, and all those things and the tools that your broker has hopefully given you in order for you to succeed when that time comes. Don't forget scripts as well. That's really important. But today we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 7 books that I'm going to suggest to you in no particular order, of course, to read for your first year. So if you can get through 7 books in the first year, great. If you need more, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to help any one of you guys to get off your feet and just get going into this industry because it is pretty amazing. So I'm just going to list them off here real quick for you. First is The One Thing from Gary Keller. Second is Start With Why. That's from Simon Sinek. The next one is The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, as most people call in the industry, MREA. That's from Gary Keller as well, and Jay Papasan and Dave something. I don't know, I'll have to get back to you on that one. The 7 Levels of Communication, that was from Michael Maher. Crush It or Jab, 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 Right Hook from Gary V. We also have the Convince Them in 90 Seconds. That was from Nicholas Boothman. And then the last one that I have for you is The Like Switch by Jack Schafer. Now let me explain a little bit about each one and what the key points I got out of it. Of course, nothing's going to beat reading or listening to it on Audible or whatever platform you want to use. So The One Thing from Gary Keller. This is a great starter book to anything that you're trying to get into, even if it's not real estate related, but as entrepreneurs as well. It allows you to kind of look to see, hey, you know, the premise of the book is you got a lot of things going on. What's the one thing that you're going to do today that's going to make everything else out there less important or not necessary at all? And it goes through all of those things such as time blocking and the power of leverage. And it's a really, really good read. I read it at least once a year. The next one we have is Start With Why from Simon Sinek. If you're not sure about Simon Sinek, you can, of course, look him up. My thing that I would suggest prior to investing in this book or in this Audible is to go onto YouTube and look up his golden circle. Really what it's going to help you do is to figure out why you're doing the things that you're doing and why people do the things that they do. And you can check out his video. It's probably a 12-minute video where he'll go through and explain at least at a base point of what you need from that. Very, very helpful to know that. The next one we have is the MREA or the Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and it was Dave Jenny, I think. Anyway, I can't read my own handwriting. Anyway, this one's great. I read this once a year as well, and it's kind of built in stages. Now, I've also heard that there's a second iteration of this book coming out, although I haven't seen anything yet. It goes through and kind of starts with, hey, what's really important at the beginning as you first start getting into this career, and builds all the way up until you've built a team or whatever version of that is to where you get to step away from a business that you build and then kind of collect up the residual versus being in the continual rat race. It's a fantastic book. Even if you go through and you know nothing about real estate, you'll get through, and then after that it starts not to make any sense. And then the next year you'll go and read the same thing and you're like, oh, I now know what this means. Fantastic book. Definitely suggest that one. even if you don't read it all the way through. The next one is The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Maher. Now, if you get this thing on Audible, it is kind of corny, the way that he describes everything, but it goes through kind of like a story of how to build your entire business off of referrals. And the concept is really great. Besides all the corniness that he throws in there, there's actually a little love story in there, but don't let that turn you off. The information there is fantastic, and it's fantastic to look at the end in mind. Just know most people, most real estate agents want to get to that point to where they're not making cold calls every day. People are calling them to go ahead and refer their friends and to list their property or get them to purchase or invest in one. The next one that we have is Gary Vee's Crush It, or Jab, 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 Right Hook. Now, these are 2 separate books, but they're both from Gary Vaynerchuk. Fantastic guy. As long as you can get over his New York attitude, New York City attitude, then you should be fine. I'm from New York and I had an issue with it, but I got over it. Once you get through that, the information is phenomenal. He goes through what it takes to get that startup to really crush it, and his story, which is really inspiring. The next level is that jab, 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 right hook. And that's more based on your social media presence, which is huge right now in our market, in the age that we're in right now. It's nearly impossible to go out there and not be on social networks and building your brand. That's what he's really about, is building your brand, to get yourself to know that everybody knows who you are and what you do. So definitely check that out. That's Gary Vaynerchuk. And he's got some great extra material as well, if you really want to nerd out. The next one is Convince Them in 90 Seconds. And that was from Nicholas Boothman, as I'd mentioned before. This is really great for you beginners that are going out there and don't know what to say, don't know how to present yourself, don't feel comfortable in your own skin. This guy was, if I remember specifically from one of them, is he would go out and he'd be in a nice dress suit in New York City, and he'd have a pen in his hand, and he'd have bright red shoes, which I've kind of adopted at this point in my career. And he could go anywhere in the most unfamiliar, unfriendly environments and still get people to like them and still be able to talk to them. And at the end of the day, make those introductions that are crucial for you, and imperative for you to get your name out there and to ask obligating questions as real estate agents, in order to ask for the appointment, right? All right, and the last one I have, and this is kind of optional, but if you really want to get into the weeds on how your influence, how people interact, how you make friends, it's with the like switch from Jack Schafer. Now, Jack Schafer used to be an investigator in the FBI, and his main job was through counterintelligence and was to make friends with the enemy. Yeah. And he goes through a whole bunch of different stories. It's fantastic. I listened to it. Again, this is one of those books I listen to once a year or read once a year. And it's great as it goes through and just shows you the baseline of what you have to do to stay in front of people, to be relevant, and for people to eventually subconsciously go, oh, I like this person, which is great when you're in sales. So those are the 7. I have more. If you can bust through these books and you want more information, as I mentioned before, do reach out to me at any time. All my agents on our team at the Whittemore Group do have the access to these books, and these are part of the required reading for them to get to the next level for our group. However, if you have any questions, please do make sure to comment below this video. If you have any additional books that you thought were awesome and you're in the real estate business, do post them below. Always love good collaboration in this business. All right. And if you're brand new, best of luck in your journey. And I hope you go out and, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, crush it.